Hi, everyone. This is Natalie. I was previously a product manager at TikTok, and Lucas was my engineering partner. And I went to US when I was 18. I came to the South to pursue my undergraduate degree. And then after I graduated, I moved to the Bay Area and have the chance to work at some major tech companies such as Facebook and Airbnb. And I think we actually overlapped when we worked at Facebook.
Yeah, we may have overlapped, but
Yeah.
maybe I never met you though at Facebook.
And TikTok was the first time that I have ever worked for a Chinese company. There are a lot of things that it's very different from the US company, and I want to share those learnings with you guys.
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Lucas. For the past year, I was at TikTok leading one of the engineering teams related to creator monetization. And that's where I ran into Natalie. And I guess I never knew we'd be making a YouTube video together, but we have so much to say. Why we're making this video is because the two of us have a lot of friends around us that are kind of interested in like what's it like to work at TikTok and other Chinese companies, because in the past few years, Chinese companies have been a little bit more competitive, especially something like TikTok. It's like the first Chinese consumer internet success in the West, where it's doing so well in America. And it's kind of this unique case where in the future, if there's more like American or people like non-Chinese people who are interested in Chinese companies, they're going to have to be prepared, because we noticed, I mean, I'm an ABC, second generation Chinese person who can't really speak Mandarin. Natalie grew up and was born in China.
Yeah.
But we just saw so many differences between like a Facebook versus a TikTok. We wanted to like talk about the major differences between these two.
Yeah, so basically we just want to share everything we learned while we're at TikTok and share everything that we wish we knew before we joined TikTok.
We think TikTok's like the perfect reference point to compare with like the Western FANG companies, because TikTok is exceptional in that it's the first big Chinese consumer internet success that is like Chinese led culturally. Like the company, a lot of the company values and processes, very Chinese. But the workforce actually has a lot of non-Chinese people.
So Lucas, what do you think is the biggest difference between TikTok and the other Silicon Valley companies you have?
Like reliance on operations teams, product operations is by far like the biggest noticeable difference, both from your experience working at the company and also how the company iterates on the product. I guess, Natalie, since you were a PM and you actually worked pretty closely with product ops, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I remember before when I worked at Silicon Valley companies, on the product side, we didn't work very closely with product operations. I don't think we have a product operations team in conjunction with any product teams. However, at TikTok, there is a pretty sizable product operation teams with each product team. Before we release any feature, we have to go through, get approval from the product operations POC from each local offices to make sure that our product feature is properly localized, understood by the local audiences in each market.
Yeah, we actually think the product ops is one of the key reasons Chinese companies can take over new markets so quickly. I'm not actually sure if reliance on product ops is because labor cost difference is like labor cost is cheaper in China. So there's this tendency to try to solve problems with manpower. Chinese companies are way more hands-on.
Yeah.
So there's two examples I wanted to talk about, and they're pretty close to where we worked. Like one of them was the creator payment program, where TikTok, I think this is 1 or 2 years ago, they basically paid $200 million or more. I don't remember the exact number, but they allocated a huge chunk of capital to just give to American creators to lure them into TikTok. And that like blunt force of just throwing money, throwing product ops to get people to use it. I think that's very, very Chinese company. You don't see that much of that on Western companies.
I feel like for Western companies, we care a lot on unit economic of all the marketing spend. We always care, like before we spend any marketing dollars, we always want to make sure that we have the right attribution systems to measure our ROI. But then in Chinese companies, especially like TikTok, while we're expanding to new market, we're just pouring money without caring too much about the ROI. Another thing I want to mention is that in Chinese companies such as TikTok, I do notice that on the product side, we build a lot of feature based, a lot of like one-off features based on the operations needs. So for example, we'll build features focused on dress for a holiday.
Oh, this is a really funny example. Like in a lot of Western tech companies, there's this, we write unit tests. This is so basic. Like everyone knows about.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So that was my goal.
There's not really unit tests. Actually, it's total reliance on QA, quality assurance teams, to manually test each commit before it goes out. And you might be thinking, this is completely insane. Why don't you just write unit tests? Well, like we said before, labor cost difference drives a lot of these big changes between, a TikTok or a company in the West, where if your labor cost is cheap enough, it actually may make more sense to leverage QA to do testing.
Yeah, because they don't want their engineer, they just want their engineer to focus their energies on shipping features like as soon as possible. They don't want their engineers to focus any energy on writing tests. They just hand it all over to QA. So talking about engineering at TikTok, another more mind-blowing thing for me is that not only do the engineers don't need to write unit tests, they also don't need approval for their merge request, which is like so crazy for me.
Yeah, and this is a 100,000 plus person company. It's not like a tiny startup. So basically no unit tests and no code approval, but there's this heavy reliance on QA. But it works, right?
I haven't seen any, and I haven't seen any like major outage from TikTok yet.
Now it's my turn to ask you, Natalie, what do you think is the biggest difference between American and Chinese companies?
So I think besides the lower labor cost that we discussed before, another very big difference, the organizational structure at ByteDance is so flat, but I'm not sure whether this is a just unique thing to ByteDance or it's like a more general thing for a Chinese tech company. So for example, I'm a product manager, and then my manager manage around 50 plus product manager, and my engineering manager partner manage more than 180 reports, direct reports. Like it's crazy. I heard that literally this manager have to write almost 200 performance review during the performance review season. And the manager obviously doesn't have time to have one-on-one with each of his report.
People management doesn't really exist in the sense that the manager relationship is more of just like project management, like driving outcomes and deadlines.
Yeah.
It's not so much about growing someone's career.
Yeah.
Or managing expectations. None of that really happens.
And also the organizational structure is very secretive at ByteDance. I was very surprised that, so usually in US company, we could search the org structure in Workday. There is no organizational structure charts in ByteDance. It's not searchable, and we have to manually ask around to find the right POC for the right product.
Yeah, I actually heard it's because the fierce competition in China, where companies poach each other, and there's not a lot of laws to protect that. So the org charts are just hidden. To prevent key players from being poached. Another related difference is the meeting size. The role of a meeting is so different, where I noticed, first of all, in TikTok, and I've heard this is true of other Chinese companies, where one-on-ones are much more rare. And weekly periodic one-on-ones are almost unheard of because, and this is my personal reason why I think there's so many, China's population is so much bigger than America. It could be because you have so many coworkers. If you had to do a one-on-one with all your coworkers and cross-functional partners, it'd just be too many one-on-ones.
Oh, I think that bring us to process structure at TikTok. Think in the US company that I work for, we usually operate in a pod structure. So across a small cross-functional team of product manager, data scientist, a group of engineers, maybe a designer will work closely with each other all the time to focus on tackling one problem area. But then in ByteDance, they follow more of a waterfall kind of structure. For example, as a product manager, I will own a certain area. However, I don't have this kind of cross-functional pod that sit next to me and work on the same problem area the whole time. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about work-life balance, maybe?
Yeah.
That's a big one that we actually saved for the end.
Yeah.
A lot of people have strong feelings about this one. So 996.
So 996 means 9 to 9, 6 weeks.
6 days.
6 days. Sorry, 9 to 9, 6 days a week. So for background, actually, for our Chinese colleague, they do have to work 6 days a week, I think on a bi-weekly basis, right? They do 6 weeks. It's called 大小周 in Chinese.
Yes.
So it means big, small week. So they will have a big week of 6 days a week, and then the next followed by a small week of 5 days a week.
And the key part of 大小周 is actually on the days they work on the weekends, they actually get paid at 2x.
Yeah.
2x, yeah.
2x? That's a lot.
I think it's 2x, yeah.
In China, so people will describe everyday work going to a war. If they don't work hard, they will lose this war in they call it 赛道. So
Oh, this reminds me. I have a pretty good friend at TikTok ByteDance in China, and he said for a lot of Chinese internet employees, it's a lot more like class anxiety, where maybe their family doesn't have so much money, and working at like a top tier internet company is their way to make a lot of money and like become middle class or higher. And because it's so competitive, there's so many people in China. For our viewers, actually China has 4 times the number of STEM PhDs as America versus America, and this is including H1Bs. So China has way more competitive talent in these tech fields. So the recommendations.
yeah.
So after we've said everything, we've given all these like big differences between Western and Chinese companies, obviously using like ByteDance, TikTok as a reference point compared to places we've worked at, like Facebook, Airbnb. We actually want to give recommendations for the audience, because most of you probably are PMs or engineers or designers, data scientists, and you want to pick your next move in your career.
For TikTok, I feel like it's very good for people that want to transition in their career. So for example, if you are currently an IC, say an engineer, but you want to move into engineering management position, and TikTok could hire you directly from an IC engineer to an engineering manager position. And also for PN, we have a lot of PN that have no direct PN experience before, but like they come from all sort of different titles like product strategy, engineering, data scientist, and then they come here and directly become PN. So for anyone that want to break into PN, which is historically being a very hard like role to break into in the West, I think TikTok would be a good choice. And third part is that scope wise, because right now TikTok is still growing, and the growth rate is just like tremendous, and there's just so many things to do, and everyone gets huge scope. So when I came in, I was very surprised to see a lot of junior PM have like scopes comparable to, say, a director at my previous company.
Yeah, these are all good points. Yeah, definitely increase of scope or having a jump in your career. I think TikTok and ByteDance are taking a chance on a lot of these new employees.
Yeah.
And another thing is kind of personal. It's just like if you want to like learn more about Chinese culture, you like the language, you want to do business in China or start a company in China in the future, I can't imagine a better place than TikTok and ByteDance, because it's like giving you an on-ramp. You could just basically speak English. And there's I knew a good amount of like non-Chinese and non-Asian people at TikTok, and they, like a lot of them had this affinity for like eventually moving to China or doing business there or just learning the language. I can't imagine a better place if you want to like get immersed.
Yeah, I think this is a very good point. And also, I think not only to learn about Chinese culture, I think coming to ByteDance is a good place if you want to just learn about like all different cultures, like how the product will behave in different cultures, because TikTok is such a
that's a really
international product, right? So
that's a really good point. Totally forgot about. It's like if you want to be immersed in a whole new way of doing product development and thinking about how to build things, the Chinese mindset for doing it is actually quite different. You might learn a lot from both sides, and having experience from both sides, you can like combine the best of both worlds.
Something that I noticed is that the design principle by our Chinese designer, like based in China, are actually pretty different from the design principle. Totally. Do you notice too? Like from US?
I noticed.
Yeah, and then we actually like
huge.
Huge.
Also, I mean, there's a lot of, I think, people who may not be a great fit. I think like people who are earlier in their careers, new graduates, I think like the FANG companies are much better.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to +1 on that. I think to start with code review, like I start off my career as an engineer, and then I learned so much from code reviews from my peers. It really helped me understand how to write better codes, industry level code. However, as we mentioned before, ByteDance doesn't have any code review. So without code review, young engineer, it's like really hard for them to learn what's a good way to write code.
Thanks for listening, everyone. I know Natalie and I have been rambling for a while. And also big thanks to Natalie for coming on as the first guest of this series.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for inviting me. Hope you guys find the information that we share useful.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Natalie gave a lot of valuable perspectives into product management and how it's different in Chinese companies and American companies. And for the viewers, if you're interested in this type of content, like deep dives between companies, tech in general, and how it relates to US and China and other countries in the future, we're going to be doing a lot more deep dives and understanding like work environments, culture, companies. So please subscribe and press the subscribe button below and comment if you like this type of content. And we're going to have many more guests in the future. So thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.